What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Team Fish Knuckles YouTube channel. Now today we have another Nationals interview, and this time around we have Nick Robinson, who actually won Nationals with his Vespiquen Night March deck, if you haven't heard about that. But right now we're not looking at PTCGO, we're actually looking at Pokemon.com, and if you don't know, Pokemon actually posts all the lists for Masters Top 8, Senior Top 8, Junior Top 8, which is pretty nice, and you can highlight over each card. And we see that Nick did play the Night March deck with the 3/3 Vespiquen line, 4 DCE, 4 Unown. We talk about that, of course, a lot, the Vespiquen and the Night March stuff and why he played the different ones. And if you notice here, he played like the 4 Sycamore, which is really nice for item lock decks because you're guaranteed like a supporter card almost always. We talk about the 2 Dimension Valley. We talk about how there's no Floatstone, no AZ, and only 1 Escape Rope, which seems very interesting for sure. But there you go, guys. This is Nick's list. And like I said, on the website down below, you can see everybody's list that's right here. You click down. You can see all the lists that you went to from top 8, which is really, really nice. But hopefully you enjoyed this interview, guys. I had a lot of fun recording it. Congrats, Nick, one more time for winning. And let's see the interview right now. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Team Fish Knuckles YouTube channel. Today we're doing a Nationals report. And this time we're talking about U.S. Nationals. And just in case people don't know, what is your name, sir?
My name is Nick Robinson.
Alrighty, and we just talked about your Night March Vespiquen list. We saw the lists, but before we talk about day 1 and everything, I guess the main question is, why did you decide to play this Night March Vespiquen deck?
So it's kind of a long story, but essentially me and Kieran, my friend Kieran, I test with him a lot, and we built Night March Vespiquen, and it wasn't even close to the list that I ended up playing. And we were like, man, this deck sucks. Like, we straight up thought the deck sucked. Like, this is awful. But so we started testing some other stuff, and we saw our friend Ishan playing the deck. He's like, dude, this deck's so good. And I'm like, what are you talking about, man? The deck's so inconsistent. He showed us his list, and he's like, yeah, there's definitely stuff I can change here, but it's pretty good. And we kind of based it around that list, and we figured it's really good. It counters. It can pretty much beat anything that was in the meta at the time. The Vespiquen definitely helping with the Water Toolbox matchup, any sort of Jolteon, anything like that, and we just like the deck.
Okay, all right. So going to day 1 of Swiss, what happened and what did you play against?
Round 1, I played against a Mega Man water type of deck, with Jolteon, Glaceon, Regice, Articuno. And he's a pretty good friend of mine, Michael Wyatt. And I remember game 1 he conceded after he flipped 0 heads on a Tri-Edge from Articuno. And then in game 2 he dead drew. I felt pretty bad, but it was actually really funny. He mentioned that, I think it was after a game, he's like, man, you're probably just going to go on to win the whole thing. And, and I'm like, well, I guess you weren't wrong.
Oh, he's a psychic.
Oh, yeah. So I won that. Round 2, I went against a Greninja deck, which is usually a bad matchup, but the Vespiquen definitely helped a lot with that. I ended up 2-0ing him. I kind of lucked out, and he didn't draw some crucial energies off of some late game ends, so that was nice. Round 3, I played against my first Night March. Throughout the tournament, I played against 6 straight Night March decks, and that was the first one. I ended up, I believe it was a 2-0 against him, but yeah, I can't remember a lot of the specifics of the Night March games just because they all kind of clutter together. But yeah, I 2-0'd him. Late game ends are really good. That's about all I say about those matchups. Round 4, I played against another Greninja deck. He actually ended up 2-0ing me. That was my first loss of the day. I remember specifically that I was Shaymin-ing I was using setup for 2, and I needed to draw 1 puzzle of the last 7 cards in my deck, and I missed it, so I wasn't able to play Hex Maniac that turn. And then he used 2 giant water shuriken, 2 water shurikens the next turn. I'm like,
I guess I lose.
Yeah, I guess I lose. I can't really do much about that. But the next 2 rounds, I believe, I played against Night March. I won both of those. One of my opponents, I don't remember if it was round 5 or 6, I played against Desiree. She was really nice to play against. I had a lot of really nice opponents, which made the whole tournament a lot more fun. So yeah, shout out to all my opponents, just right now. But so round 7, I went against Kevin Murphy's Vileplume Jolteon Glaceon, and he played a 2/2 Vespiquen in it.
Yep.
It was a pretty cool deck. I liked it a lot. He played like the Manaphy with some Rainbow Energies to give his Vileplume for retreat, so you can't get that Lysandre up, as we see how that loses you games in the top 8. But yeah, it was a really good series. It ended up going to game 3. He did give me the compliment that was essentially the best series he played the entire tournament. Pretty much every other series was just him completely dominating or him get completely destroyed. So that was kind of cool. But yeah, so round 8, I played against a Mega Ray Jolteon, and of course the Jolteon's in there specifically for Night March, but then the Vespiquen just kind of comes out, destroys the Jolteons, and so that's a really good matchup for me. Round 9 in my winning in, I played against Darkrai Giratina Garbodor, and we tested the matchup a lot the night before. I think we essentially never lost to it, just because we found that with Enhanced Hammer and Xerosic, you can get rid of their double dragon energies every single turn, and they end up putting so many resources into attacking with one Giratina that once you get rid of all their double dragons, they really can't do anything. They use all their resources and they can't set up anything else. So yeah, that matchup went really well for me. I remember game 2, it was really scary because he went first, and I forgot that he played the Latios, so I forgot to bench more Pokemon. And he went super hard to get the Latios, but he ended up missing it, and I was relieved. But then he ended up dead drawing the rest of the game, so that was kind of disappointing. But yeah, that was all my day 1. I went into day 2 at 7-2, so I was in a pretty good spot. I think I was 12th in my flight, so 23rd, 24th overall. So going into day 2, round 1, I played against I think it was the Mega Manectric Giratina type deck, but I don't exactly remember. I believe that's what it was though, and I 2-0'd him. I do remember that game was just completely ridiculous. It's like I drew the most perfect hands throughout the entire game, just like T1 knockouts on everything. It was disgusting. I apologized to him because I felt bad for how disgusting those games went. So I won that game. The next round, I believe I played against the Night March deck that got top 8. Chris played it. I don't remember how to say his last name, but I dead drew. Game 1 was really close, but I ended up dead drawing near the end. And then game 2, I just pretty much completely dead drew, only drawing into Pokemon and like double colorless energies and like Shaymins, but I had way too many cards in my hand, so I couldn't even Shaymin to set up. But so that was another loss for the day, and I believe in the next 2 rounds I played against Night March again. I played against Bradley Curcio, and we went to game 3. I remember that. I then played against Ahmed Ali, playing Night March as well. I believe he played the Marowak and Gallade version.
Yeah.
I do remember that. And I believe I 2-0'd him. I might be wrong on that, but yeah, I won that game. And I remember then the next round, I played against Andrew Kreckler, playing Trevenant. And as you know, for a Night March type of deck, Trevenant is definitely not a good matchup by any means. But we got through it. Game 1, I believe I was able to go first and set up quite a bit. He dead drew a little bit, so I was able to take that game. Game 2, he got T1 item lock. I was just completely screwed. Game 3, he was dead drawing really badly. Like, it ended up going to time, so we did tie, but I do believe I would have won the series if we had more time, just because I was knocking out every single Phantom he put down, and like he just had Shaymins on the board, and just nothing was going right for him. So yeah, there there was that tie. I believe at that point I would have been 10-3-1, or actually, you know what? I think I played the Trevenant before I played Ahmed. Yep, that sounds about right.
Okay.
So, sorry, just so many.
Some way like that, yeah. It's a lot of games to remember.
It's a lot of games. I can't remember all of them in the exact order, but so yeah. So I played against Andrew Kreckler playing Trevenant, then played against Ahmed, and then for my final round, my win-it-in, I went against Justin Aaron playing Night March. We were playing on backup stream, and it was a really close series. It came down to game 3. We were gonna tie, but Justin kind of saw that I just had the better board state. I was way ahead in the prizes. He had to get rid of like 3 VS Seekers way early in the game, and so he scooped the game to me to help me get into the top 8, and that was really nice of him. Justin was a really nice guy. I was glad I met him, but yeah, and then going into my top 8, I knew that I was going to be playing against Trevenant, and I was really worried. But then, luckily, you, Josh, you found out that the Trevenant I was playing against didn't play Bursting Balloon, which was really good for me. He just played the red card and like Crushing Hammers and stuff like that, and that made the matchup a lot more favored for me, just because I could attack with like Pumpkaboo and just get knocked out immediately, and he would have to tree slam to try and knock me out. So I had a little more confidence going to top 8, but obviously Trevenant was still a bad matchup nonetheless. But I remember it was game 1. I believe I took that one. I don't think he could draw into energies, and I was just using Night March for knockout on Trevenant breaks over and over again. So I believe he scooped that game. Game 2 pretty much went how Trevenant's supposed to do. I think he missed the T1 Wally, but I still wasn't able to do a whole lot. I dead drew anyway. And then game 3 was really insane. I went first, completely set up, and he has Just Alone Phantom. Going into his turn, he just plays down Dimension Valley. He Sycamores away his hand, and he has no basics, no Ultra Ball. And he just uses Ascension after he red carded me, and then he used Ascension. And off my red card, I drew 2 double colorless energies. I had enough Night Marches in the discard pile to get a knockout, and I took that game. that was probably the luckiest thing I did the entire weekend. But so going into top 4, I remember watching Paul and Fred's top 8 match, and like, man, I really hope this water toolbox can pull it out, because Vespiquen Vileplume is such a bad matchup. But as a lot of you guys saw, Lysandre was pretty good, and Paul was able to take it. So I was ecstatic, super ready for top 4, because I knew that water toolbox was a really good matchup, just because Vespiquen hits Seismitoads for knockouts, and then if they try to use Glaceon, the Night Marchers take out the Glaceon pretty well. And yeah, my top 4 game, the series actually didn't go. I wasn't actually as dominant as I expected to be, as most of you guys probably watched. Game 1, top 4, it actually took me 3 turns and going through my entire deck to get a knockout on a Hoopa. But my 2 Dimension Valleys were literally in the last 6 cards of my deck, so I felt bad. It like almost looked like I was trying to BM him and like make it last longer than it needed to, but I literally just couldn't Dimension Valley. And game 2, he ended up just using Quaking Punch, and I started dead drawing. I was drawing into a lot of Pokemon and no supporters, so we took that game. Game 3 was another pretty bad game for him. He started Lone Hoopa again, but he also didn't. He drew a little better. He was able to get out some Pokemon, do some attacks, but overall, I was just able to beat him purely because of his poor setup. And actually, I noticed throughout that series, I actually wasn't drawing the best either, but just because of how dominant the matchup was and the fact that he was dead drawing way more than me, I was able to take that one. And going into finals, I was super nervous. I couldn't believe I was in the finals at U.S. Nationals. It was just so surreal. I actually had to ask my dad and my friend Trey a lot about my games because I couldn't remember a lot of it. I had to go back and rewatch the stream just because the nerves were hitting me so hard. I couldn't remember a lot of it. But I do know that game 1 I took a very dominant lead. I took 4 prizes really early on. He played a he played an N, ended me down to 2. I believe he chaos wheeled and got a crushing hammerhead to take a energy off my bench, and he also put down Silent Lab, so I couldn't get Shaymin or anything. I believe the next turn I actually battle Compressor to thin out my deck, and then I had to use Puzzle to look at the top 3 to guarantee that I got a Vespiquen next turn. And then he loaded up just so many energies on his Giratina that I wasn't able to use Enhanced Hammer and Xerosic to get rid of all the energies. He had like 3 double dragons and like a double colorless energy on it. Like, it was insane. But so I figured, okay, I need to find some way to win this game. And I found my way to win was to Lysandre Seismitoad because I knew he wouldn't be able to retreat it, and just hope he didn't have like AZ or like a super scoop up heads. And it worked out. He ends me down to 2. I get the Sycamore off the 2. He uses Quaking Punch on me with a Pumpkaboo active. I throw down DCE that I top deck, play the Sycamore, and Dimension Valley is like the 5th card that I draw off the Sycamore. And I take that game. I remember it was super nerve-wracking because I kept track of my Night Marchers. I knew I had 9 in there, but he made me count it out on stream, and I know the announcers and the whole audience was counting out with me, and I was able to take a knockout. It was really cool. And then game 2 was kind of insane. I don't remember exactly how the whole thing went down, but I do remember that there were 2 different instances where I Enhanced Hammered Xerosic and that was just really insane, just getting rid of all of his energies and making sure he couldn't use Chaos Wheel. And I believe near the end of the game, my deck had pretty much all really good cards. I think the last cards in my deck were Dimension Valley, Lysandre, Unown, 2 double colorless energies, and 2 Sycamores. So I knew that even if he ended me down to 2, there was no way I was going to dead draw, because I was going to be able to draw into Sycamore and get the DC somehow. But so yeah, I do remember that he did end me down to 2. I drew it. I had the Sycamore off of it. I drew Unown, and I'm like, I'm just going to Sycamore, go for the DC, and get the, I guess, championship winning knockout.
That's so cool to say, like the championship winning knockout. Yeah.
Feels good. Feels
yeah.
really good.
Yeah, man. Congrats on winning. That's pretty amazing.
Thank you.
I know, like, looking at the bracket, I was like, all right, top 8, he's got to play against Trevenant, all right? Looks kind of shaky, all right? Next it's Water Toolbox, all right? It's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of weird. He's got the Vespiquen, so he might be able to take it. Then you're like, oh, Sideshow Giratina. Okay, we'll see how this goes. And I was like, what? He just 2-0'd him? I was like, oh, goodness.
Yeah. So. I got pretty lucky playing against 3, I guess, item lock decks in my top 8 and still winning the whole thing.
Yeah, that's the craziest part. I was like, he just, like, everybody's like, you just play item lock to beat Night March, and proves that it does not work.
Doesn't always work.
Especially
when you're item lock Seismitoad and I have a Vespiquen.
Yeah, I'll just be revenge for 180 or something. Yeah, things are good.
I'll just be revenge for a lot.
No, that's still really cool that you won. Congratulations once again.
Thank you.
All right. So usually when I see this list, I'm always like, all right, would there be any changes you make? But it's kind of hard to make changes when you win nationals with the list. But is there any changes you'd make to the deck or anything?
I honestly believe that the list that we made was definitely the most consistent list. I think it is truly the best list for this deck that we could have made up. Every card was just so useful throughout the tournament. I don't think I would drop or change anything. I guess AZ could have been alright every once in a while, but the 4 Sycamore was really good to help with consistency against item lock decks. It's just a really good list.
Okay. Alright, and look at the list. You talked about the Dimension Valley. You only played 2 of those, while most lists only play they play like 3 or 4. What was the reason behind the Dimension Valley?
Only having 2 Dimension Valley was purely just because of space. we figured you can attack with Vespiquen, and which is a pretty good attacker. It has a lot of HP compared to the Night Marchers, and so you can get around not using as many Dimension Valley that way. And also with the Night March mirrors, typically someone's going to get a Dimension Valley out, and it will work out fine. But yeah, it was mostly just because of space. The list is really tight.
That's true. I mean, you did include like a 4 unknown and 3/3 Vespiquen line, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah, I felt like 3/3 Vespiquen was probably the best way to do it. 4/4 is a little excessive, but the 3/3 was a really good count, I believe. 4 unknown was just really good once again for the consistency aspect. Power up the Vespiquen, and it really does make it so you can use Vespiquen as a late game attacker. I noticed some Vespiquen Night March lists essentially really only use Vespiquen as to hit for grass type weakness, as opposed to they play 4 Trainer's Mail instead of the 4 unknown. But playing the unknown definitely helps your item lock matchups, and then it also makes it so just so Vespiquen can hit for huge numbers, hitting for 180, up to 210 against a mega Pokemon, stuff like that.
That's true. Okay. Alrighty. In some lists, they opt to play unknown. I mean, I imagine you didn't play unknown because your list is just really tight. I can't see. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This unknown was really good.
Yeah, true. I guess the next question. You talking about Night March? You said 7 Night March mirror matches?
6.
6. All right. So if you're playing against Night March, how do you plan on to play against the mirror?
Definitely the best way to play the mirror is to attack with Vespiquens and Pumpkaboos. The deck doesn't run Fighting Fury Belt, so you really can't attack with Joltiks because they'll just get Sky Returned from Shaymins. And obviously the best way to play the Night March mirror is you want to go second just so you can get the first attack in, but you also want to try to never play Shaymin if you can. Obviously, using Shaymin can be really good if you're going to knock out a Joltik. You can set up and get the knockout at the same time, preserving a double colorless energy. It just makes for a really good turn. But one thing I did notice that for the straight Night March list, they usually tend to have to rely on Shaymin a bit more, just because they tend to not play as many Sycamores and stuff like that, so they can't draw through the deck as well. And then obviously I play the Unknown, which helps me draw a little bit, but obviously that's not always going to cut it. But yeah, and then late game N is just really good. N is really good. I think that probably won me most, if not all, of my Night March mirrors.
Yeah. I know when I was talking to Justin, he was like, man, all I want to do was against Nick was to keep target whistle your Shaymins. He was like, but he just kept keeping unknowns on the bench. He never discarded them. He just kept unknowns on there, and I could never get a Shaymin out. And I was like, well, that's the good play to do.
Yeah, that's another really good play. If you can fill up your bench with a lot of Combees and unknowns and stuff, that's definitely really good. I felt like I kind of did that one turn, and I was just like, wait, oh, that's really good. I didn't even think about that, but that's really good.
He was like, yeah. He was like, I had the target whistle just in my hand, but I just couldn't use it. I'm like, well, sorry. Okay. So looking at your list, your only real switching card was Escape Rope. No Flowstone, no Easy, like you said. Did you wish you ever had a second switching card, or the one Escape Rope was enough?
I don't think I would play Floatstone in the deck, just because you have the Vespiquen as a free retreater, so you can always just throw that up if you have to. But I probably would have liked an AZ at some point, just because, especially in the Night March mirror, it's really good to pick up Shaymins. Okay. But overall, I think putting an AZ in there somewhere kind of ruins the consistency of the deck. So I think I'm fine with not having the AZ in there.
Okay. Alrighty. Now, looking forward towards Worlds, I guess we still don't know what Steam Siege or Steam Siege, whatever it's called. Mm-hmm. We don't know what's in it still. But if you had a random guess, so if Karen's not in it, do you think you're still playing Night March Vespiquen?
Yeah, if Karen's not in the set, I feel like a deck like Night March Vespiquen could definitely still be really good. But I figure if Karen isn't legal, people are like, well, everyone's going to try and play Night March Vespiquen now, or everyone's going to try and play Night March, and people will play a lot more item lock decks, they'll play a lot more Trevenant, a lot more Vespiquen Vileplume, and so, I don't know, I definitely get the benefit of getting to see what people are playing day one, since I get the automatic pass to day two, so got that going for me.
Yeah, that's pretty nice. Now, so you said, I know in top 8 for sure your Trevenant player didn't play Bursty Balloons, but did Crackler play Bursty Balloons?
Crackler did play Bursting Balloons. Yeah, I only brought it to a tie solely because he dead drew games 1 and 2, kind of.
Yeah, okay. I didn't know how those went or stuff like that, so I didn't know. So what would you consider more dangerous? Would you consider Trevenant with Bursty Balloons or Vespiquen Vileplume more dangerous against your deck?
I definitely would consider Trevenant with Bursting Balloons to be more dangerous, just because Vespiquen Vileplume can really just lose to itself sometimes, just because silly stuff like Lysandre on a Vileplume can happen, and you just completely lose the game that way. Or also, if you accidentally run through your deck too much, you can end up decking out. Or if I somehow am able to get knockouts with Night Marchers, like if I go first, then I can somehow get rid of all his DCE, then he's kind of behind that way. And if he doesn't save one to use on the Bunnelby. So, yeah, I just think Trevenant's a lot more scarier, especially with Bursting Balloons, because you just got to try and Shaymin loop and pray.
That's true, yeah. Alright, so how many championship points are you at right now?
Now I'm at 772.
Woo! Does that make you number 1 or is somebody else still above you?
I'm number 1 in the United States, number 4 in North America. Those
Jeez. Jeez, they got so many points. How did this happen? How do we let this happen, guys?
Yeah, I don't know. Canada's beating us.
Oh man, they got 3 people above us. I thought at least we just maybe 1. That's crazy.
I was a little bit surprised too, but at the same time, like, I'm fine with any spot in the top 16.
That's true. Now, is this your first Worlds coming up?
This actually is. This season was my first competitive season. Just because in the years before I kind of played competitively, but I was never able to go to a lot of tournaments. This year especially, I was able to go to a lot of tournaments, and yeah, this will be my first World Championships.
That's pretty crazy. Your first competitive year, win nationals, top 16, and gets to the day 2 invite. That's amazing.
Oh yeah, it's pretty amazing. I'm just completely amazed by myself. I never would have thought that I would have ever gotten into top 16, let alone win U.S. Nationals.
I know, before going to Nationals, you gotta get top 128, right?
Yeah, I need top 128 going into the tournament.
And you're like, I'll just win it, guys. Don't worry.
I'll just win it. Don't worry.
I got my points. I got them. We're good.
Yeah. I always remember joking about it too, just like, yeah, man, I'll just win that. It'll be fine. And then it's like, oh, well, I guess it happened.
I guess it was easier said than done. Look, guys, I can do it. Why can't y'all do it? What are you doing?
Yeah, come on, guys. Why can't everyone just win US Nats? Come on.
All right, man. Well, do you want to give any shouts to anybody?
Definitely shout-outs to my testing crew from the night before, John Eng, Ishan, and Kieran Wagner. They really helped me learn the deck, play it right, and just gave me a really awesome list. Also, shout-out to all my Pokemon player friends from Iowa. People always talked about how Iowa doesn't have any good players, and I'm glad to show them up a little bit. But yeah, the players from Iowa especially were just super supportive of me. They knew that they felt like if anyone could do it, I could do it, and it just felt really good to have a lot of hometown support.
All right, man. Well, do you want to see anything else before we head out?
Make sure to check out my own YouTube channel, the Pokemon Trope, TRUPE. We're trying to get more videos out for you guys. We've mostly been doing a lot of box openings, but there's definitely going to be my own tournament report about U.S. Nationals, and we're going to be doing a bunch of fun stuff in the upcoming year. There
we go, guys. I'll have the link down below for sure, just in case you don't know how to spell it, even though he spelled it out for you already. But thank you so much, Nick, for doing this interview. Congrats one more time on winning. It's amazing.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
Does it still feel real? Does it feel real? Is it a dream?
I'm still not sure if it feels real. I'm still not sure. Still a weird feeling.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, thank you for the interview. Thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this interview. Make sure you go check out the link down below to Nick's YouTube channel. Everything will be in their description. Thank you one more time. We'll see you at Worlds, guys. See you at Worlds, Nick. So.
See you at Worlds, man.
All right. Thanks for watching, guys. Alrighty. Bye. Alright guys, just want to give a quick shout out to our two sponsors, 60 Cards and Yeti Gaming. The links are down below to their websites. Make sure you go check them out. Alrighty.